Okay. She's a good girl, isn't she? Thank you. That's Jeff Hugel, of course. We all know him. And what was his name? Skippy, that's right. We've now got Annette Lakey in the studio. Now, make your call now. Hello, Annette. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, Peter. How are you?
Yeah, good, good. Apparently you do radio programs all around the state.
Oh, absolutely. I'm all over the shop.
Do you really?
No, not really.
You're a Rockhampton.
Just Rockhampton, yeah.
Okay. If you'd like to talk to Annette, this is a free consultation with a family lawyer. I mean, really? No, that's an old routine that I used to do with... I actually find you tougher than I've forgotten the name.
You always say that. You haven't forgotten her. Katrina.
Katrina. Yeah, I find you tougher than Katrina. Because isn't that interesting? I thought you were going to be a walkover, but you're tougher. So I don't like to make too many jibes about family lawyers and their fees. But anyway, if you'd like to talk to Annette, she's here for the next 5 to 10 minutes. 13 13 32 is our phone number. And don't forget, first consultation for 4BC listeners is absolutely free, 3221 2044. Specifically today, what did you want to talk about?
Something that you might be wanting to enjoy in a few years' time.
Right.
It's called a pre-nuptial agreement.
Pre-nuptial agreements, right.
Also a cohabitation agreement.
Yeah. Are they becoming more popular?
They are,
yeah,
particularly with how unreliable things are when you go to court. You know, some of the case studies we've done have really shown how discretionary it all is. So by doing a prenup or a cohabitation agreement, you can actually control what happens to your assets if you separate.
Yeah.
Which, in the case of someone like yourself, perhaps, who's been married before, it's quite an important thing to do. And particularly if you've got kids from other relationships.
Yeah, and you don't intend to have any more kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that your kids are protected and they're not going to have to fight your ex-wife in court for your assets.
As you said, the courts, it just depends on the judge on the day sometimes, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So how strong, because once upon a time they had prenuptials, but they weren't all that strong. They didn't stand up in court. How strong are they these days?
Well, they're binding as long as they're done properly and as long as some of the limited things that you can have them set aside aren't there. We talked previously about consent orders and getting those set aside. Financial agreements are much the same. Very similar type of things such as fraud, duress, that sort of stuff. So they can be set aside, but I call them an insurance policy because really they're the best that you can get in trying to control your assets if you do separate.
Yeah, well, you see it from a legal point of view, but the emotional side of it, it must perhaps create a bit of angst with the woman, or I don't know, it might be the other way around, but generally speaking to be the prenuptial agreement signed by the man, and that could cause some problems in the relationship, do you think?
Look, I think so. It's all about how you raise it, though, and I think if people are going through it perhaps a second or third time, they're both probably going to want to protect their assets. But in a situation, for example, where you have an older fellow and his, Thai bride, for example, who's maybe 20 or 30 years younger.
No, that's not the example you're using for me, was it?
No. Oh, well, maybe.
Oh, Annette.
But in cases like that, it's really important.
Yeah.
Because often that man in that example has adult kids, and often the Thai bride may not have any working skills. She may pop out a couple of children, and may have lots of relatives overseas that she's trying to sponsor, for example.
Yeah. Oh, you see a bit of this, do you?
I do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Really important to consider a prenup in those sorts of circumstances. And the other thing to remember, it's not just if you're going to marry, it's also if you're in a relationship that can be considered a de facto. And as we've discussed before, de facto is a fairly broad term. So you might just be dating somebody, and if you're dating them for more than 2 years, there's a possibility they could be a de facto.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Even if they're not living together?
Doesn't need to be living together? No. There are a number of criteria, but living together is just one of the possible things that is looked at.
Oh, look, you're looking at my face at the moment. I'm completely shocked. You can date somebody for 2 years and they can say that was a de facto relationship.
If there are other things,
But they wouldn't get any money out of it, would they?
Well, depends how long you're dating them for. I mean, there are relationships where you're dating for 10 years and you're living in separate houses and keeping everything separate.
Yeah.
But they would be able to possibly have a claim. And now you can do a binding agreement which makes sure that your assets are protected. And that's only just under the new de facto laws which came in last year.
I would imagine that you would have to be straight with the person you're marrying about the prenuptial agreement. It would not be advisable to get a prenuptial done. Can you get it done by yourself without the consent of the other person?
No, well, they have to sign it.
Okay, right.
And they need to get their own legal advice about it. I think it's just, it would be hard to raise, but it's a reality in today's society where, there's a 50% divorce rate. I mean, it's
exactly. And
just reality.
And it gets higher with second marriage, third marriage and stuff like that, although they tell me by the third time you get it right.
Well, I hope for your sake you do.
Stop talking about my situation. Who knows what's going to happen with me? Goodness gracious. Any calls? Look, last time we asked you to call. I'll leave it 13 13 32 if you've got any calls for Annette. Call us now because she's only here for another couple of minutes. 13 13 32 if you'd like to ask anything about prenuptials or anything about family law, call us now.
If you love an Aussie apple and have a twinkle in your eye, why not taste a little bubbly and give Devondale a try? Devondale's an Aussie icon born 40 years ago. Australia's very own sparkling apple juice for people in the know. So whether it's your birthday or just a family meet and greet, Australia's sparkling Devondale is a very special treat. And if you're the designated driver and the party's going strong, your friends will appreciate it very much that you took your Devondale along. Devondale sparkling apple juice is available at selected Coles, Woolworths and IGA supermarkets.
As part of March Madness celebrations at NatureBee, you're in for a double dose of triple antioxidant action. Call 1-800-147-009 to order your 360 capsule bottle of NatureBee for just $99 plus postage. And you'll get 2 bottles of triple action resveratrol valued at an extra $90. And for a feel-good treat to sweeten the deal, some yummy chocolate Easter eggs. 1-800-147-009.
Rivers Women's Tops, reduced to $3.90 each. Over 300,000 Rivers Women's Tops, reduced to $3.90. Over 30 different styles of Rivers Women's Tops, in over 45 different colours. Rivers Women's Tops, reduced to $3.90 each. But only from the 31st of March to the 5th of April.
Make listening to Talkback better than ever. Hear it on a digital radio. Get a new digital radio today from these guys.
Digital radio has arrived at The Good Guys. This new innovation means you can pause and rewind as you listen, download the music and even listen to extra channels. Come in and see The Good Guys for all the best brands in digital radio.
Find out more at digitalradioplus.com.au. Digital radio. It's radio as you know it, plus.
I don't really understand what makes people like you donate. Mum says it makes you feel good. I hope so, because if nobody had donated to the Hear and Say Centre for Deaf Children, I'd never have been able to speak, or listen to music, or be an Irish dancing champion, or let other people know they can feel good by buying a butterfly from Suncorp or KFC. So I hope you do feel good. You deserve to.
Peter Dick on 1116 4BC. Call 13 13 32. Thanks to the new Nissan Tita. Big car space for a small car price.
Now, Annette Lakey from Payne Lawyers is here, and Richard's got a question for you. Annette, yes, Richard? Oh, sorry, mate. Yes, Richard?
Yes. What happens if you're in a relationship, you don't live together, but you see each other once a fortnight?
Oh, that couldn't be a de facto, could it?
Look, it's unlikely, but there are a number of criteria that's looked at, and obviously if it's an exclusive relationship, if the community out there see you as a couple, they're just two of the things. Obviously sometimes if you're financially intertwined, that's another issue, but there is a possibility that could be de facto. I think it's unlikely if it's just once a fortnight, but if you're seeing each other 3 or 4 times a week, I think that's more likely, yeah, definitely.
Kerry of Charlotte Park's got a question. G'day, Kerry.
Oh, hi, Peter. Yes, I just wanted to know from Annette, I'm in a relationship, been with a partner for 3 years, just wanting to know, how does it stand with, normally, I've been married before, superannuation, you leave it to your partner and then when you both go, it's divided between children. Is that still, is that how we should be looking at it still? Even though we've both got children from different relationships?
So this is on the basis, obviously, that you stay together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can divide it up depending on the rules of your super fund. You could divide, for example, a certain percentage to your partner and then a certain percentage to your children.
Yeah.
And you can also have mutual wills to make sure that if one of you passed before the other, then both of your families are protected. But yeah, you can divide the super up as you like, but I would suggest probably having a chat to a financial advisor about what you should be doing.
Yeah.
I think that's a sensible option.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Kerry. And have you got a new website at Hall Payne?
Well, it's our old website, but we've redone it up.
Oh, okay.
It's www.hallpayne.com.au, and on the website there's an interesting article I wrote about prenuptial agreements, so have a read.
Okay, that's Annette Lakey. Thank you very much again.
No problem.
Have a good Easter.
You too. Don't eat too many Easter eggs.
Oh, I don't do that. Listeners,
not anymore.
The first consultation for 4B citizens is free. 3221 2044. Call them.